Alright, today we are back in Oakwood Zoo, finally after a bit, and today we are adding the last addition to the world of Japan before the final tour, and it is uploaded to the workshop. Now, today we are building the long talked about restaurant in the Japan section, and I am also adding a bit of a swan kind of boat ride, so without further ado, let's go right into it. Alright, so hello everybody, and welcome to the last speed build episode of World of Japan. In this episode, again, like I said, we are adding some final touches to stuff around the park, but mainly we are adding the restaurant, the Japanese restaurant, as well as a kind of lake next to the World of Japan, which will also feature a kind of swan boat ride that will allow guests to impliedly that people can go on the swan boats and go around the lake. Obviously, this is not a real feature, but I just added a little hut to make it a bit more maybe realistic for something that would be in an actual zoo, because I do see zoos, of course, that do this. So that was something I kind of wanted to throw in there. It didn't take a lot of time, but this is, of course, the closing out of the World of Japan. This is the final piece of the puzzle. Over the 4 months of building this section, we have done cranes, raccoon dogs, red foxes, macaques, which was a super long build to make. If you didn't watch that episode, go watch it after this one of our best builds. And now we are closing out with this, and of course the pagoda in the middle with all of the amazing foliage in the middle and the nice little bridgeways. It really feels like this is like the best section that I've ever made in a zoo, or just up there for some of my best things I've made, period. There are a few questionable things that I want to redo a bit more with, like maybe like the red fox enclosure. I want to maybe adjust it because it doesn't seem as realistic, because it seems very escapable in a real zoo. And I saw a comment on it like when it was released, and it was like, I've never seen red fox enclosures like this, and I was like, yeah, that's probably because most of them are like cages, which are probably more realistic. So I mean, like, it looks cool, but I don't know how actually functionally accurate it is, but who knows. I will probably add more foxes or something. Like we'll build for the Arctic foxes in like a North America section, and maybe then we do a different enclosure for them, because we have done the fennec foxes as well, and those are a lot more realistic with their enclosure. But getting back to the point, today we're building a restaurant, and this was something that took a decent amount of time. I will say that for this episode, or this build, I was a bit less focused, or like less motivated. Number one, because it's a building and not an animal enclosure. There are very few times that I will be excited and want to keep building towards a actual building and not a animal enclosure. One of those exceptions, of course, was the pagoda. The pagoda was something that was so unique and so out there, and it was, of course, very important to the actual section, because it's like the entire centerpiece of this. That was very important to me, so I did want to continue building that and finish it, and it turned out really good in my opinion. So with this, it's less interesting to me, because I don't really love building restaurants. I like the idea of, I like the mechanics and everything. I love the idea of having like the big building, and you link it to the tables and stuff, but I still really enjoyed this. It was tough finding inspiration for it, really tough actually, because there's not a lot of, I was going for a bit of Japanese architecture as well, because of course this is the Japanese section, but there wasn't a lot of classic wooden kind of structures, so I think I ended up going for more like a general Asian theme, similar to how I did the Japanese macaque enclosure as well. That was more heavily inspired by like just general Asian architecture rather than Japanese architecture, because Japanese architecture is very distinct and there's not a lot of variety too much of like the different buildings, so I had to go a bit outside my comfort zone with what I was looking for. But I think overall it fits in pretty nicely. We still use those classic Asian roof pieces, the clay roof pieces, which I think fit in great for what they're for and what they're used for here. We used, of course, more foliage that we already have been, the maple trees, the buffalo grass, saltwort bush, creosote bush, things like that, and I tried to fill in a lot of the gaps, so there's a lot more like gardens and like lush areas around the restaurant. And I also tried to not clog up the front of the restaurant with trees, because I felt like that was kind of annoying, that like you couldn't really see the actual restaurant. If you look in the speed build footage, I think I had a few trees out front, and then I ended up deleting them, and it looks probably a lot better in my opinion. because there's not anything in the way of the view of the restaurant. In the actual restaurant of like decorating it, that was pretty fun. It was decent. I think I enjoyed most probably doing like the actual building exterior, and also building the little like bridge out to the swan ride or whatever. That was pretty fun. I did use a blueprint pack for that. It was like a blueprint that had a bunch of props in it. So the swan boats, the life jackets rack, I guess, and the little barriers, I guess, the water barriers, like the red and white things. I don't know what they were called. Buoys, I guess, but I think that's something else. Those things were all from that blueprint pack, so you can download that in the link in the description. I will link the person who made them, so you can check that out. I also used 2 blueprints for the restaurants that were like restaurant packs, because people have done some amazing work doing like restaurant props, and I'm gonna be honest, this is not one of my strong suits with like making tiny little props and stuff. I can of course take the time to do them, and I have done that with a few of my builds, but I just did not feel like doing it this time, especially when I know that there's a lot of good restaurant props out there. So I believe I used Ricey's general restaurant pack as well as Caesar Creates African restaurant pack. I didn't use those ones as much because of course they were a bit more themed towards like African, like those kind of central themes, but I did use a lot of the planters, I believe. Planters, the lights, and a few other things I can't remember. I also used a computer prop, but I think I ended up making my own thing. The computer props were kind of weird because they either used a lot of pieces or they were scaled really weirdly. Like I found one that was like not many pieces at all, but then I went to put it on the desk that I made that was in scale with a person, and the computer is like really ridiculously tiny. So I don't really know. I ended up making my own, and I ended up actually making a kind of tablet, like one of those like flip tablets. It's very simple. It's literally just 2 of the small info panels together to make kind of like a flipping tablet that's standing, because a lot of restaurants do that. They don't always have a computer at the front desk. They could have a little tablet that has like reservations and stuff, and I of course tried to put in like a few papers and stuff on the desk to also make it seem a bit more realistic. Overall, I think it's pretty good. It's nothing super detailed or nothing super like insane with like the interior. I do like making detailed interiors time to time, but this one I dialed myself back a bit. I love how many seating things I actually chose, and funny enough, I didn't count this, but the max amount of seats that you can attach to a restaurant is 20, and I managed to actually have, without knowing it, placed exactly 20. So we have about 10 on the inside area, and then there's about 2 on the little like front patio that you can go and you can sit out and you can watch the pagoda. That's like, you could call it the VIP seating, where you could sit out front of the restaurant and you could watch the like you just like appreciate the pagoda, because you will be directed towards the center of the section, the World of Japan. And then there's also about 5 or 6 more tables out on the outside part of the other side of the restaurant, where you would just it's in kind of like a circle little area near the swan boat, so you can still watch the lake if you want to, but it's better of a view from the front of the restaurant. But yeah, overall there's lots of seating. I was surprised by how much seating I was able to put in here. It really feels like a pretty good restaurant. I also added an implied bathroom. The bathrooms are not actually in here. I feel like at the end of this we're not going to have bathrooms in the zoo at all, because I don't know, it's not something that I really paid much attention to. I will probably add them at the very end, which of course also we have to talk about. Speaking of the end and speaking of new beginnings, Planet Zoo 2 was released. Announced, and I cannot believe I forgot to talk about this right away. Planet Zoo 2 was announced, I guess because it happened a while ago, but Planet Zoo 2 was announced, or I guess teased, in the 6-year anniversary video that they released, Frontier released a week ago on November 3rd, 2nd, I can't remember, but basically they had it where we know that the actually concrete knowledge that we know is that Planet Zoo 2 will be coming in 2026, most likely in November, seeing as we've had November releases for Planet Coaster 2 and Evolution 3. Well, close to that, October or November, somewhere around there, is where we will be getting Planet Zoo 2. We can expect probably an announcement June, and it's interesting their approach to this. They clearly know how much Planet Zoo means to everybody, because Planet Zoo is I think it's the top selling game of any of these park management games, and it's the most praised out of them. So it will be interesting to see how they handle this, because this is the one they cannot fumble. This is the one that could impact their a heavy amount of their success in the future. And I wanted to make a video about this going off, and I will probably make a video about this later, probably in the winter. But it's going to be interesting how they actually tackle this, because people have spent 6 years paying for almost, if you have all the DLCs, you probably spent over $200 on this game, on the first game. How do you convince people to buy the second game and abandon what they already had. Because I'm having a tough time even thinking about abandoning Oakwood Zoo, because I feel like I want to finish it by the end, by that November mark next year. I don't know if we will, with everything that's going to be happening in the next few months for me, because I have a lot on my mind and I'm still able to somehow get episodes out for Evolution 3 and this game. But I don't feel like we're going to finish it, and I'm having a hard time actually accepting the fact that we're gonna have to leave the zoo unfinished to another zoo. There's of course a lot of people else just like that they don't want to leave their stuff, and they don't want to leave the animals that they paid money for. So I'm wondering if they're gonna bring these animals over, how many animals are gonna be brought over into the next game, if they're gonna do something for like bringing over your zoos. Probably not. I don't see any idea of how that would happen, but it's just unfortunate. But I don't know, it's just a lot to process and a lot to think about how they're actually gonna make a sequel compelling, and they're gonna actually get people to want it. Of course, there's obviously birds and aquariums, which will no doubt be included, but that might not be enough to get people there. So it's going to be interesting. I do really want to finish the zoo, and I will do my absolute hardest to finish the zoo if I can. We are also working on Evolution 3 stuff, and I also want to finish that because we have Paleo Park going on, and the response to that series has been astronomically well. And I think everybody who is watching those videos, I know maybe not a lot of people who are watching this video watch that series because they're two different games, but to anybody who does watch that series, thank you so much. The series has been doing astronomically well. I am not like a pro builder compared to like some other people, but I still feel like we've done a decent amount of work in that park, and I'm trying my best to transfer my skills over there. So that's going to be interesting. Then it's been pretty fun so far, and they've added on the day I'm recording this, which is literally the day or two before this video is releasing, they released a mini update for like Kentrosaurus and bug fixes. So hopefully that'll help me in the long run for like navigating stuff, make it easier hopefully, because they're trying to make it obviously more like Planet Zoo with like the hotkeys, which I fully respect, because Planet Zoo's building system again is still, I say, the best building system that they have made. And if they change this drastically in the sequel, I might cry because I love this building system so much. It is so easy to navigate. The hotkeys are amazing with like how you press everything, and like the navigation is just perfect. I know that they're going to probably add like scaling and maybe like the multi-select tool from Evolution 3. I just don't want them to change it so drastically that it changes how you like navigate and stuff. I really want it to be very similar. I don't want them to change the hotkeys at all, please. But other than that, I'm expecting a lot of stuff to come in a sequel. I'm not going to talk about it now. I have been talking already for a bit, so yeah, I should probably wrap this up soon as well. So, talking about future plans, of course we have to wrap up the World Japan. So how it's going to work, if I can get everything done, which hopefully I can, I'm really hoping, I will have a tour for the World of Japan out on this Saturday, and then the trailer for the World of Japan for it to be uploaded to the workshop will be the following day on the Sunday. That way, I always like doing the tours first, because if I release the thing on the workshop first, it just feels like everybody just goes right to there, and then nobody actually pays attention to the tour. So I like doing the tour first to actually showcase stuff, and especially because I get to showcase stuff that you may miss when you go to it on the workshop. So I want to do a tour first, and that'll be on the Saturday. Hopefully, potentially, if my plans change, I don't know. And then a trailer for it will be on Sunday, which I love making trailers. It is amazing to me. And then this Friday, I'm also trying to get a Paleo Park episode done. I'm not sure about that though. I will see what I can do and when I can release it. Hopefully, I'm kind of seeing what can happen when for uploads, because my schedule and stuff, my personal life is all over the place. So I'm trying to fit in things where I can. So again, have some leniency, I guess, or some patience with me if I can't get something done right off the bat. But I think that's honestly it for all I have to say, really. We went over future plans for the next week or so. We talked about the World of Japan. This is again the last episode, so at the end of the video you will see a few cinematics of the entire section as a whole. I will of course make a full cinematic of like the entire section in the tour video. We'll have like a tour section, and then we'll have a cinematic tour at the end as well, where you can see shots of all the animals and everything. So that's gonna be nice. So I think that's all I'm going to have to say. I don't want to ramble on for too long, but I will say my good old shtick for every video. If you did enjoy this video, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to this game, because we have spent so long. This is a project. The World of Japan is a project that we started all the way back in mid-August, and we are now finishing it in mid-November. So what is that? 3 months? About 3 months that we have spent on this project, just one section of the zoo. So I am excited to be finished it, and I'm excited to be moving on to the other enclosures, because we're going to be taking a bit more of a break, going forward, just doing like one-off enclosures for like starting Africa and finishing South America, kind of wrapping up loose ends. So a bit lighter on like the pressure to build new sections in the zoo. But anyway, if you did enjoy this video, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We are approaching, at the time of this, we might actually hit it by the time this video goes out. We are approaching 4,000 subscribers, which is amazing, and I cannot, of course, that is heavily due to the Evolution 3 stuff, but I thank everyone again for watching the content, for liking the content, for commenting. Those of you who do comment, I appreciate it so much, so I really hope that you guys do enjoy the content and you enjoy it as I continue making it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Enjoy the rest of the video, cinematic shots at the end as there always is, and I will see you guys probably on Friday or Saturday. Enjoy the video and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye guys.